Hey guys, check this bike out. 1975 DT125. Got it a really good deal, couldn't pass it up. Dude posted it on Facebook Marketplace and had it up for way more than I was willing to pay, but I kind of kept an eye on it and just watched that price drop down throughout the week, and I pounced on it at the right time. As you can see, it's pretty rough. Although it's rough, it's all there. Really, it's just missing the turn signals, the rear brake light, and a couple other little things, a battery, which are disposable anyway. But some things definitely need addressed on it. The first off, you probably notice how horrible this seat cover job is. So they used duct tape, it looks like, to hold the seat on, which this isn't even, I think it's just a cut piece of nylon they just kind of wrapped around here. I don't think it's an actual seat cover for this bike. So they probably cut it and just kind of wrapped it up and used duct tape to hold it on. But I was looking, the seat pan does have some of the hooks left on it, so I'm gonna tear that all off once I get this thing cleaned up and try to get a seat cover for it, correct one, because the seat foam's in really good shape that as far as I can tell, it's still firm on there, and it should hold a seat cover pretty well. So there's that, and then you can see the battery is missing, and there's a lot of hacked up wires and other stuff that's pretty shoddy. So we get that battery. Looks like I didn't even take this off actually to even see if there's a air filter in here. Let's see if they're running it with a filter. This was on finger tight. Oh no. Why would you run it with a filter? So they were running it without an air filter. Hopefully for not too long. Got screws in here that don't belong. This one looks like they just jammed it in there. I'm gonna pull that out. The shifter is flopping around on there too, which it looks like it's just missing that bolt. So hopefully if I get the right bolt, it'll clamp down on there, take care of that issue. The fuel tank is surprisingly pretty decent for this bike, the rest of the bike. You look at the rest and you expect the tank to be completely rotten, but really this all feels pretty solid under here. And then when you come up and look inside of it, it doesn't look great, but it's pretty bad. But it's only that one section, so it's kind of hard to pick up on the camera. But the sides aren't nearly as bad as that top section right there. So I think I'll be able to save it. I mean, it's not going to look great. I might have to seal it once I'm done, but I'll soak the vinegar in there with the nuts and bolts and shake it around as much as I can and get that cleaned up. The gauge cluster here is in decent shape. It's got its normal weathering on it from sitting out in the sun. It's actually got a key, which is surprising. The controls are all there. The clutch is a little bit a little iffy. That's probably seizing up down in there, but everything else, throttle's stuck, of course. Get that carb off. It's probably the slide that's stuck, but look how crusty all that is. This thing's been sitting outside a while, you can tell. But really, for it to be outside like that, the rims are in pretty decent shape. Those will clean up well. I don't see really any major rust, even on the fork tubes. Usually these are all just rusty all through here and up behind the headlight bucket ears. This one looks pretty rough, but I've seen worse. Those are pretty decent shape. This will all clean up. I still got to get a power washer on this. This is just the condition it is as I picked it up. This is the condition it's in. So just wanted to get you guys a good look at it. Oh, and the exhaust. Looks like this might have been patched up here at one point, but otherwise really solid. I think this was an add-on, because I think from pictures I've seen of this thing online, this is supposed to come out to here more. It sticks out more past the shock. So this is all in really good shape. The muffler itself, the header here, is not banged up. Solid. I'll put some paint on that. We'll get it looking good. First I gotta get it running though. I wanna make sure it runs good before I put that kind of time and effort into it. And let's see what we got. We have tolls in here, I doubt it. By the looks of it, this person didn't do much maintenance. Nope. And I did check when I picked it up, but there is oil in the crankcase, which is good. So it wasn't sitting dry. So we'll get all that drained out. I should just pull the head off once I'm ready to get into this thing. So first things first, though, I gotta get it cleaned up. I'm gonna get the seat out of the way and the tank off, and that'll let me get to the cylinder and check out all the wiring and stuff underneath the tank. Start here first. Okay, nothing came out. That's good. It's probably all clogged up with rust up in there, so it's blocking anything that's left in there from coming out. So let me pull this up and out of the way. Got spiders living under there. So yeah, the tank doesn't look to be in horrible shape. I don't see any rust bubbles down here. This is all just kind of grime and stuff I got to clean off of there, but not real dented up anywhere. Just one dent here. Decal's in pretty good shape still, so I'm not even going to try to repaint that or anything. I'll just leave the originality on it and just get the inside cleaned up, I think. Probably new petcock as well. This one's frozen on there. Who knows what that looks like on the inside there too. So overall, good shape. Let's get a little bit closer look at the hack job wiring here. I can already see, looks like they spliced into the harness with this wire. And if you follow that up, it looks like it goes up to more hack job splicing here. One of those twist couplers, and it already came out there. So that's gonna need to be gone through for sure. But like I said, first thing I'm gonna do is get the engine to turn over here and unfreeze itself. But at least I know I got wiring to get into here next. Yippee. I think I'll just take both of these plugs out. This one looks like a newer one here. Not sure, might have been running with that at one point. All right, I'm gonna get some PB Blaster down there first, I think. Let that sit a little while. Hopefully it's just stuck rings or something on there, and nothing too serious. All right, I'm gonna gently work over the Kickstarter, see if I can get that to free up. Try putting in a gear or rocket a little bit. Maybe it's just got to go the opposite way to free up. No luck yet. All right, so I put it in gear, rocked it back and forth a couple times, put some more oil down there, and I think I have it unlocked. Let me get this thing in neutral. Oh yeah. It's free, but it feels kind of rough. Can't tell if that's a bearing or if it's just the cylinder walls are all messed up or what. It turns over now. So we'll dig a little deeper and might be a good time to try to test for spark. I guess first I got to figure out if this bike. I know some of these bikes need a battery to get spark. I'm not sure if this is one of them because it does have electric start, but you might be able to do it without the battery too, since they have a Kickstarter on here. Let's see. I'm gonna look it up in the manual and see what I can find. All right, so after looking at the service manual, it does look like you need a battery for this to generate spark, because it's got like a dynamometer set up instead of a regular flywheel, which is under here. And apparently you got to have that battery hooked up to generate that spark. So I'm kind of going through the wiring right now and just seeing what a mess it is. So first thing I noticed was the wire to the switch, to the key switch, was cut off here at some point for some reason, and someone used these twist ties to splice in two pieces of different wire, color of course too, directly to the connector here. At least they were able to use the connector, so I can kind of see that the brown and red is supposed to come up here and go to brown and red. So I'm going to get rid of this middle piece, solder in a good piece of wire with the same color at least, and then go through the rest of the stuff coming off of the coil. This here I believe is the starter relay, and I'll get this cover off here too to look at the dynamometer or dynometer or whatever, however you pronounce it. So I also noticed there's the ground wire was connected up here to the seat. This goes to the battery. They have the other battery wire, which is supposed to be red, it's red here, but they have it spliced in here with just another black wire and was using that as the connector. And I also noticed another, it looks like a ground wire just kind of barely connected to the air box, or I'm sorry, the battery box, which I don't know if that was doing anything. I don't know why that was there. I'm gonna have to look and see if that's supposed to be there, or maybe somewhere else. And then this is the regulator, I believe, which is a little bit different than the other ones I've seen, which are usually up under the fuel tank. And there's the flasher relay, so I'm not gonna be worried about that, but the regulator I think I gotta look at and just kind of clean up these wires a little more, trace them out. Let's get a look at this real quick. Well, we got a spare one in there. That one looks good. Let's get a look at the one that's on here. Oh, Looks like that had a overload. So I'll get that out of there. I'm not really concerned about getting the electric start to work, but I guess if the battery's hooked up, I guess it's all in here because I don't see any starter motor. Yeah, so I'm assuming it's all contained in here. So this is actually the first old school bike that I've worked on with an electric start. So it's kind of new to me there. I'm still learning some stuff, but yeah, I guess I'll clean up this wiring. Like I said, I'll get a compression reading on here just to get like a baseline. You know, now I got the motor unstuck. Give it a couple kicks and see what kind of compression we're putting on. I did put my finger over here and kicked it a couple times, and it blew my finger off. So I mean, the compression is not horrible, but we'll get a reading on that and see what kind of numbers we get. So since the throttle's stuck closed, I can't get that to open up. To do a proper compression test, I want to have a wide open throttle. So I think it's probably a good time to take the carburetor off and probably take the airbox maybe off to get at that a little easier. That way I can do a proper compression test with the throttle. Well, in this case, there won't be any throttle on there, just be wide open the way you're supposed to test that. So let's pull this off next. So I got a couple 10s here to get this airbox out of the way. And there's not even a band on the boot here that goes around the carburetor, so that's just gonna pop right off. So let's get this out of the way here first. All right, that gives me a little more room to get at the carb. This one doesn't have a boot on the front. I just got to get rid of these two Allen key bolts here, and it should pull straight back. First, I got to get this off of here, which I thought that was on there frozen. Let's see if the slide comes out. Yeah, okay. So it's the cable that's messed up, not necessarily the slide. Okay. I know it sucks pretty bad when this thing gets frozen in the carburetor. I've had one or two on previous bikes. One was on the 75 250B. The one I picked up for $100. That thing was frozen in there. Ended up having to soak it for a day and then tap on it from underneath to get it to pop up, and took forever, but it came out. But it was in there good. So I'd rather have to just replace the cable than go through all that again, because the cable needed replaced on the other bike too. Anyways, let me get a Allen key on these two here. Looks like it's ready to fall off of there. Let me pull it off this way. There we go. All right, let's get this opened up and see what kind of trash we got on the inside there. All right, before I tear into that carburetor, since I got it off and it's simulating wide open throttle, I figure I'll hook up a compression tester here and see what kind of numbers we get real quick. I'll keep this as steady as possible so you can keep an eye on the gauge there. Give it a few kicks. Yeah, that's not looking too good. Just above 50. I'm gonna put a little oil down the cylinder and try it again. My guess is there's probably a ring stuck, or was stuck, which was causing the motor to not move earlier, and we got it unstuck, but that ring still might be kind of sucked into the piston. So put a little more oil down there. We're gonna kick it over a few more times, see if it goes up at all, then we'll kind of get an idea. Still probably gonna tear that top end off though. All right, here we go. It only went up a couple PSI, so most likely we're gonna take this top end off and just look for ourselves, see it firsthand. I do have a battery on the way to hook up when I do try to get sparks. So in the meantime, though, I'm going to tear into this carburetor, get it cleaned up, probably throw it in the ultrasonic, and see what we're dealing with here while we wait for those parts. Still quite a bit of old gas in here, so it wasn't bone dry. And the gas didn't smell horrible. It was definitely had some varnish smell to it, but I've seen worse. I mean, I'm sure it was pretty old gas, but at least it wasn't like gelatin at that point that I could tell so far. Guess we'll see what it looks like here once I crack this open. There's some junk in there. That O-ring shot. Not too bad. Seen much worse. Try to get that pilot jet out, and I'll undo the main and the needle jet. Guess I'll start with this pilot. See if this will cooperate. Yeah, popped out. See if I can see a number on here. Looks like it is 25. 25 on the pilot. Let's see if I can salvage this gasket here. Okay. Yeah, well, that looks kind of bent up there. I'm sure the float was all jacked up with that being bent as much as it is. Let's see, there's a number on here too. It's like 215. Yeah, 215. Not hearing anything in there. We'll test that out too. Still got some spring to it. No rubber tip on this one. Figured I might as well get a look at the choke assembly too, because it doesn't seem like it came all the way out whenever I was trying that. We'll get the air screw out of there too. Almost forgot about that. Let's see how far in it was. So we got how far out it was from full in. Get a screwdriver on that. So that was all the way in. So somebody had that cranked all the way down. There's some junk in there. Feels like sand. All right, got all my parts in this little basket my dad hooked me up with, which is perfect for these little carburetor parts. And I'm just gonna dunk it in. We'll let this run for a while, put the heat on, and we'll get back to this later on. So I think while I'm waiting for the parts in the ultrasonic to clean up, I'm going to get this head off, get a look at the piston and rings and the cylinder, and see what kind of condition we're working with here. First off, though, I gotta get the exhaust out of the way. I got that exhaust out of the way. I'm just gonna try to crack these 4 bolts open here. All right, it's about to fall off here. Let me get this out of the way. Here's the gasket. There's a look at the head. Get that cleaned up. Doesn't look like it's too bad shape. Cylinder doesn't look too bad either from what I can tell so far. I can see the piston ring gap here. Looks like it's stuck in. I guess we'll take that apart and see. Don't feel any gouges. That's good. Yeah, she's stuck on there pretty good. I'm having a heck of a time getting this cylinder off, so I've been soaking the stud openings here with some PB Blaster, letting that soak down through. I'm getting some of it leaking back out, so I guess it's moving a little bit. So I'm hitting it with the rubber hammer, and it doesn't seem like it's budging too much, but it must be cracked open a little bit at least for the all the oil to get out from in there. So I'm gonna keep hitting it and hope that it frees up. Well, this cylinder's fighting me tooth and nail, so I'm gonna soak the one stud that I think is holding me up, because this is not letting oil through. The other one's passed through and kind of leaked out the bottom, so I have it kind of loose on all around it except for this one side. So pretty sure that's the one that's all corroded and keeping it from popping off. So it's not really wet on this corner, but the other corner is the oil is coming through here. So I'll let that set for a while and come back and check it a little bit later. Hopefully it's gone down and can break away some of that corrosion there. So while I'm waiting for that oil to soak through that cylinder stud, I figured I'll take off the oil pump cover here and get a look at what's going on under there and get rid of these incorrect bolts that are holding this on. Turn in there. Slowly. That's all boogered up there. It's actually budging it though. Still has a gasket on it, surprisingly. Well, the good news is I don't think these threads are really that messed up. I think maybe just the first couple. So I took off a bolt from the other side, which I believe is the correct style that should be on here on this end. And I can get them to thread in, so I'll just have to order up some bolts, get rid of these hardware store screws, and I think we'll be okay for the bolt holes here. Well, we're at day 2 of soaking PB Blaster down this one stud hole that just doesn't want to budge. I've used heat on this to the point where the PB Blaster that's still sitting in here was boiling. I've used a rubber mallet all around this to the point where I'm actually bending some of the fins on this side, so I don't want to do that. So I mean, I'm pulling on this. I'm actually lifting the bike off of the stand, trying to get this thing off of here. And it just doesn't want to go. So I'm at the point, I know this is probably the wrong way to do things, but I think I'm just going to order a new head gasket, the gasket for the intake here with the reed valves, and a couple other gaskets that I need, and just put the head back on. Because actually, looking a little closer here, the cylinder isn't too bad. And I really think my compression tester is reading really low on the low side. So last couple bikes I've done, if you've watched any of those videos, you know, I was getting like 60 to 70 psi in the Yamaha, the DT360, and that thing runs great. I mean, maybe it just needs running a little bit. But here, I'll show you the inside of the cylinder here. So it's really not too bad. I got some of the glazing off up top, and everything goes nice and smooth. I cleaned all that up. Everything looks good here. So it's this hole right here. This oil will not seep through. I've tried everything to get that to loosen up. You can see this is the fin I'm starting to bend here. Hitting the rubber with a rubber mallet, trying to hit like upwards with it. It just does not want to budge. I've tried heat on this, like I said, and I'm just not having any luck. And the goal is to get this bike ready for vintage days. I'd like to take it out there, ride it around maybe, and sell it if I can. Obviously, if it runs good, I'm not going to sell somebody a bike that's junk. I'd like to get it to run decently. So hopefully, once it's running, you know, it'll, even though the compression tester showed 50, I'm thinking, like I said, that reads a little low. I can get this thing running. You know, maybe it'll run better than I think. So I think that's the plan. Since Vintage Days is coming up here in a couple weeks, I'd like to get this back together. And I guess next, since this is all opened up, I'm going to try hooking up the battery, because the battery did come in, and we'll see if we can get the electric starter to crank over. So I'm going to do that next. All right, so I got my fully charged 12-volt battery. It just came in, hooked up. Got the chintzy wiring hooked up just temporarily. I'm going to go through this and rewire it once I see if it works. And I'm going to hit this button here first. I got to make sure this is on. All right, let's see what happens. Ooh. Well, I think I got a little bit of dirt in the switch here or something, so I'm making real good contact. But as soon as I touch that, well, it kind of worked. It sounded like it was kind of getting stuck. I don't know if the relay's going bad or what. Hopefully it's nothing bearing-wise on the inside. I'm going to take the cover off just to see if anything's kind of hung up or if there's anything I can clean off in there. I haven't had the side cover off yet, so. Well, I could already tell there's some corrosion on here. This one, I'm assuming this is timing advance or something. I'll have to look in the manual. So it looks like this one is frozen on here. I could barely move it. Get some lube on that. The points don't appear to be opening at all. Maybe just a little bit. When I spin this, it's gonna be really tough to see because it barely moves. So that might need adjusted. So I don't know if it's actually breaking apart. So that does move. All right, I'm gonna clean all this up. I'm gonna get this one unfrozen. And see what else I can find on here. Let me set the camera down. Yeah, there's some kind of timing advance. That one was definitely stuck. Electric starter's trying to go. It wants to work, but something's binding up, it seems. Clean off the points here, contacts. I'll check the gap too. I gotta look at the manual for that, but might as well see if it sparks. It does look like it's moving just a little bit. So I'm still not getting any spark. I'm gonna take off the points just to get a better look at everything and clean off all the contacts and let's make sure we got good connection between all the wires and the plate on the back there. So I'm gonna pull that off, get it cleaned up a little bit better. All right, so I'm going through and testing the points themselves, which were not working. Whenever I would have this closed, I was not getting continuity between this piece and this post. So I ended up just cleaning off the points contacts a little better with grittier sandpaper and clean this up with electrical cleaner too to get all the grime and stuff off it. So now I am getting continuity between the back part of the points that sits on the stator here and the post. So I don't know if the camera's picking up that tone, but now I have continuity there, which I did not have that before. So now it should go away when I open this up, and I'll just stick a piece of paper in between there. Okay, so I have a piece of paper stuck in there, and I'm going to touch the part that sits on the stator or the dynamo, whatever you want to call it, and I don't have continuity there, so that's what I want. All right, so that part's good to go, I think. So then the next thing I did was I'm going to test the condenser here. So just cleaned up the terminals. I took it off and kind of got some bare metal on there. So what I'm going to do is set the multimeter to I just set it on. You want to set it on ohms, and I just set it on the highest level on ohms. I'm trying to get this on camera for you. So the black, I'm going to touch here, and then the red, oops, red I'm going to touch to the outer side of this. All right, so black on the lead, and then the red on the condenser body itself. So that's going to give it a little bit of a charge, and it should slowly go up. really sure how high the number should go or what I should be looking for there, but I do know it's holding a charge, so we're like at 107, 108. So the next thing I'll do is take my multimeter and change it to, we'll just put it on 20 DC, and I'll just touch the same pieces on the condenser, the lead with the black and the red on the body of the condenser, and it should slowly discharge that. So it's slowly going down, and it appears to be working okay. So I think we're good there. So points and condenser seem okay. I'm going to put those back on and give it another go. Still gonna have to set my point gap here. I'm just gonna kind of snug this up for now. Get the condenser screwed down too. Kind of hard to see, but I'm basically spinning it until it opens up. I might have to move it because it doesn't look like it's moving at all. See, I'm going to move it down just a little bit. All right, I got it to a point where it looks pretty close. I'm just eyeballing right now. I'm going to go back and adjust it. But I figure it's opening up a little further than it was originally when I first looked at it. So now I'm going to kick it over a few times. I'm just got a plug hooked up. I'm going to see what kind of, if we got spark at all. I'm just going to kick it over by hand a couple times. That electric starter is really not working too smoothly. All right. Sweet, we got good spark. Might have that points gap set right on just by eyeballing it. Yeah. Good healthy spark too. All right. Alright, so I think that's where I'm going to leave off on this video here. We got spark. That was one of my major concerns with this after looking at that shoddy wiring job that was done on this thing before I got it. So getting spark and leaving off there is a pretty good spot, I think, while we wait for the parts to come in. And I'm going to take that gamble on the top end, and I'm just going to put it back together since I can't pull that cylinder off. It's fighting me still. Even this is day 3 of letting it soak, and I still can't get that thing off of there. So just going to wait for those gaskets and stuff to come in. We're going to button all that up. And hopefully in the next video, it'll be back together to the point where I can try to start it up and get it running. So thanks for sticking around if you're this far into the video. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for any comments you leave. It all goes a long way in helping the channel grow. All right, guys, thanks. We'll see you in the next one.